I have something to confess. I love watching trashy movies. I don't know what it is about them that glues me to the tube. I've probably watched Freddy Got Fingered more times than The Godfather. Why, you may ask? Because there's a sense of enjoyment laughing at the unintentional humor that's brought by these films. Whether there's the shoddy acting, the poor special effects, there's usually something that one can admire about bad movies. But not all bad movies are made equally. Some are just plain awful and unwatchable, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to Dumb Down, the show where we summarize movies in hopes of understanding them better. Today we dumb down Don't Mess With My Sister. A movie that I should have burned to crisps instead of donating to Goodwill. A movie so bad that it left me angry. Not just angry, but furious at how the director of the original I Spit on Your Grave could have made this piece of junk. The story of this movie, if I can even call it a story, begins with Steven, a young man who works at a junkyard. He has a lovely wife who is always fighting for his attention, and he's also going to school to better himself. All good, right?
Wrong.
Because Steve is a big piece of shit. During this dumb down, you're going to meet the protagonist, who keeps shooting himself in the foot, who can't help but getting into the TV and strangling the hell out of due to how stupid he is. But we will get to that in the proper time. Meanwhile, Steven is upset because his brother-in-law, who is also his boss, is only giving him a $20 a week raise, when in reality what he wants is a partnership, but no cigar. Even though he is now family, the brother doesn't want to take that jump. He's not sure if he can trust him. Steve leaves upset and goes to school. Once class is over, he takes a lovely young lady named Annika home. Now, I want you to remember her, because she's important to the protagonist's demise. So, Steve's wife is planning a surprise party for him. And it just so happens that Annika, the girl who was in the car with him, is also on the way to the same party to perform a belly dance.
Wow, how convenient is fucking that?
And this is one of the most awkward belly dances I've ever seen, because somehow, it's never really explained, Steve's mother is enjoying the dance a little too much. But none of this is important because Steve has his eye on Annika. He's really into this chick even though he has a wife, he has a kid at home, but none of that matters because he's on the prowl for this belly dancer. Which just so happens that Annika forgets a bra at Steve's house after the party. He uses this as an excuse to return it to her after school. And he exactly does this. He returns it to her and he becomes her chauffeur one more time.
I may be crazy, but wasn't that the belly dancer who just got into Steven's car?
Well, you are crazy, and your eyesight's also not too sharp.
Dropping her off at a client's house. So Annika goes to the client's house, who isn't very pleasing to look at, and Steve is outside waiting, when he should be at home with his wife and kids. So it just so happens that the client gets a little too fresh. He gets a little too physical with her, kind of little Harvey Weinstein on her, and Steve arrives into the house just in time to rescue her. So Steve beats the hell out of him, and he could have just stopped here, but he keeps kicking the guy, and he keeps at it, so he probably kills him. So see what I mean by this guy being a big piece of shit? Anyway, they both drive off, and someone apparently sees them as they're leaving the driveway. Now remember that person, because I will be mentioning that person at the end of the movie. So all of this heavy action is enough for these two to get into a weird tribal dance. And they have the hots for each other all of a sudden, and we're granted with an unnecessary shower sex scene.
Don't look at his wee-wee.
After this really unnecessary shower sex scene, Steve arrives home late, covers his wife with a blanket, goes to bed like nothing happened. Following morning, while shaving, he makes up lies and continues to act the same way, like pretending like nothing occurred for the rest of the day. Saying he's going to be late again because it's his last day of school and he wants to celebrate with the guys. His wife tries being intimate with him, but nada. She eventually finds out and confronts him at the junkyard.
Oh, you cheating son of a bitch! You didn't recharge your battery! You recharged your...
Now, a normal person who has shame will take responsibility for his actions, but not our Superman. This guy goes to the bank and attempts to take out all the money from the joint account he has with his wife. Obviously, he fails, and instead of trying to reconcile with his wife and saying he's sorry, he decides to pay Annika, the belly dancer, another visit. But this time, for a brief moment, he has a conscience, and he admits that he should be giving himself into the police and trying to convince her to do the same. Mind you, we haven't heard anything about the guy that they potentially killed, and we do find out that he did die.
The man is dead.
Yeah, and we killed him.
What are you, stupid? It was an accident.
But here comes Steve's wife, who was following him all along. She had a GPS on him, I don't know, she just knew he was in school and followed him to Annika's house. She comes in with her brothers and they trash her apartment while she gives this really dumb, boring speech.
It's for my baby.
I have a baby too. With him.
And you want to take him away from my baby and give him to yours.
None of this matters because Steve is just going to make things worse. He decides to go to the junkyard, burn up a car, and arm himself with a shotgun. What a hero, right?
Wrong.
So armed with a shotgun, what is he going to do? Not much. He's just going to taunt his brothers-in-law so they can give him partnership. The brother says, look, I'll offer you 20%. Nothing. He wants all 100%. This guy's a big asshole. Eventually, Steven drops the shotgun and starts dragging his wife. Poor wife who has been dealing with this guy's bullshit.
I'm not going anywhere with you!
You follow me anywhere, that's what you said.
I'm not going with you!
And we get the best part of the movie. The part that got me fucking upset. The movie just ends with her screaming while he walks away in the distance. Credits roll. And this is what I have to say about the movie overall.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you!
Fuck this movie. I wasted 82 minutes waiting for this character to redeem himself, and nothing ever happens. I said to remember that person you saw at the sidewalk at the beginning of the film as they were driving off, because he's never, ever, ever mentioned again. Why have a scene setting up something if it's never going to have a payoff? This is an example of a really poorly written script. Even if your character never redeems himself, at least have him suffer the consequences and show us that he's at least learning something. Everything that was set up never has a payoff. My final thoughts?
Fucking thing sucks!
This was Don't Mess With My Sister Dumbed Down, the biggest waste of time I ever spent watching a movie this year. Make sure to not watch this movie, but do please like and subscribe and share with all your friends.
See ya! Bye!
Get the fuck out of here.
Herpes. Did you make sure she doesn't have herpes?